My name is Liam. That fall, I, my girlfriend Chloe, and our two best friends, Mike and Jenna, decided to take a ghost hunting road trip for the weekend. Our destination, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. For Chloe and me, it was a fascinating adventure, but for Mike, it was a joke. He was a classic skeptic, the kind of guy who loved to break rules and mock what other people believed. He only came along to make fun of us and his girlfriend, Jenna, who truly believed in these things. When we arrived in Point Pleasant, I felt it immediately. A heavy, somber atmosphere hidden beneath the kitschy Mothman gift shops. Our first stop was the Silver Bridge Collapse Memorial. It stood quietly on the bank of the Ohio River, a granite slab engraved with the names of the 46 victims who died in the 1967 tragedy. As we stood there, looking out at the gray river, I could feel the weight of the tragedy. A respectful silence fell over us. Except for Mike. I wonder if Mothman was just trying to warn them about the terrible 1960s traffic. He laughed, his voice hatefully out of place. "Mike, stop it," Jenna whispered, looking both angry and embarrassed. He just shrugged. "It's just an old bridge, honey. Everyone's overreacting." While we were looking out at the river, he wandered into the small garden surrounding the memorial. And then I saw him do it. He glanced around, and thinking no one was looking, he quickly bent down, picked up a small, smooth pebble from the base of the memorial and slipped it into his jacket pocket. I saw it, and I knew Chloe saw it too. We exchanged a worried look but said nothing, not wanting to cause a scene. When we got back to the car, Jenna asked him what he'd taken. He laughed, pulling the stone out to show it off. "Just a rock, babe. A souvenir from our ghost hunting trip. To prove this is all just nonsense." He had no idea that he hadn't just taken a rock. He had taken a piece of a memory. And now, that memory was going to follow him home. The atmosphere in the car on the way to our rental cabin was tense. Jenna was furious with Mike. He tried to make peace by turning on the radio. But instead of music, all the stations just played a hissing static. And mixed within it were strange sounds. A long, drawn-out creaking like metal being slowly bent. And if you listened very closely, you could hear faint, distorted screams, as if they were being broadcast from underwater. "This stupid radio," Mike snapped and shut it off abruptly. "In this armpit of a town, even the radio waves are haunted." When we got to the rental cabin, Mike grew quiet and irritable. He complained of a sudden headache and a strange, vibrating feeling in his bones as if he were standing on a shaking bridge. He took a couple of painkillers and went to lie down in their bedroom. Chloe and I were in the living room trying to watch a movie. The atmosphere was suffocating. Crack! A deafening, sharp sound echoed through the cabin. It sounded as if a giant oak tree had been split in two by lightning right outside. We all jumped to our feet. I ran outside to check, but a few seconds later I came back in, my face full of confusion. There's nothing. The sky is perfectly clear. The sound had come from inside the house. The door to Mike and Jenna's bedroom flew open. Mike was standing there, clutching his head, his face as white as a sheet. "I hear it," he whispered. "The sound of tearing steel." That night was a nightmare. Around 2 a.m, Chloe and I were woken by Jenna's screams from the next room. We rushed over. Mike was thrashing violently in bed, drenched in sweat, muttering incomprehensible things. Jenna was trying to wake him up. "Mike, wake up, you're having a nightmare." He jolted awake, his eyes wide with terror. He gasped for air, looking at us as if we were strangers. "What did you dream about?" I asked. He told us, his voice trembling. "I was there, Liam, on the bridge. I could feel it shaking under my feet, the sound of rivets popping like gunfire and then falling into the freezing black water." He began to sob. "I couldn't breathe. The weight of the car was crushing me." We tried to comfort him, but his entire body was ice cold. For the rest of the night, he couldn't sleep. He said he could constantly hear the sound of twisting metal and smell the scent of river water and gasoline. He started seeing wet footprints appear on the floor only to vanish a second later. I went to the bathroom to get him a glass of water. I glanced in the mirror above the sink to fix my hair, and for a moment, just for a single moment, I didn't see Mike standing in the doorway behind me. Instead, I saw the reflection of a complete stranger, his hair disheveled, his clothes soaking wet, his face contorted in terror. I whipped around. It was just Mike standing there looking at me with empty, frightened eyes. The faces of the victims were starting to bleed through him. The next morning, Mike's condition was even worse. He was huddled in a corner, whispering names. Mary, Jack, Henderson, Jenna realized with horror. Those were the names from the memorial plaque. He couldn't possibly have memorized them. The souls of the 46 victims weren't haunting him. They were trying to relive their tragedy through him. That stone wasn't a souvenir. It was a conduit, an anchor connecting him to their pain. We knew what we had to do. Chloe, Jenna, and I practically had to carry Mike, who was now almost catatonic, to the car. We drove back to Point Pleasant, back to the memorial. The sky was gray and gloomy, as if the whole town was sharing in our sorrow. Jenna reached into Mike's jacket pocket, her hand trembling, and pulled out the stone. It felt unnaturally cold, as if it had just been pulled from the river in December. She walked to the base of the memorial and gently placed it back in the small empty space where Mike had taken it from. The moment the stone touched the ground, Mike, who was slumped over in the car, suddenly took a deep gasp of air and fell forward as if waking from a long trance. The heavy atmosphere around us seemed to vanish. We scrambled back into the car and drove away, not daring to stay a second longer. Just as we drove away from the memorial, a sudden cold gust of wind blew past, rustling the dry leaves on the ground. And in that wind, I heard it very clearly. Not one voice, but a chorus of dozens of faint whispers, ethereal but full of peace. All of them saying the same thing. Thank you. We drove in silence the entire way home. Mike had no memory of the last 24 hours, only a lingering feeling of exhaustion and emptiness. But I remember, I will never forget,